Hey first grade friends, it's Mrs. Herbay. Today we are going to add color to our Indian corn, and I wanted to talk to you guys about two different color families. The first color family is the warm color family, and when we think about being warm, we often think about the sun or a fire, and when we think about the colors that we see in this, we don't really look directly at the sun, but when we think about the sun or fire, we think about our reds and our oranges and our yellows. So those are the colors that we're going to use to color in the kernels of our corn. And then I'll talk to you in a little bit about the other color family, which is the cool color family. Okay? So you have a couple options today as far as how you're going to add color to your corn kernels. I'm going to show you a fun thing that you can do with markers. If you have watercolors, you can use those. If you have crayons, you can use those. Or even colored pencils. But I'm just going to show you a couple fun things you could do with markers. So for example, let's say you can color in some of the kernels. And the other thing is as you're coloring in the kernels, you want to kind of space out your color. So you don't want to put all of the same kernels together. You can put a few together, but you kind of want to space them out. So I'm going to color for a little bit with one color. And then since I did that sort of light orange, then I'm going to do red. Okay, so that's if I was using markers. And once you, here I'm just going to, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. So you'll go ahead and color that in with your markers. But if you wanted to sort of try something, you could take a brush with a little bit of water on it, and if you wet the kernels, it kind of sort of has the marker kind of bleed a little bit, and you can kind of spread out the colors over, sort of like we did when we did the leaves. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing is if you do have your watercolor paints, you can sort of, so I'm just going to go, so you don't want to have a lot of water on your brush, just a little bit. And I'm going to try some red. You can also, if you want to, you can also try using different mediums. So maybe you want to try using some markers first, and then you want to switch to watercolor. That's okay. You could even try watercolor over marker to see what kind of color you get, which is kind of fun. So you can kind of see all the different variations of red and yellow and orange you get. Mrs. Herbay did not wash her brush off, which is usually a big no-no, but when we're using kind of sort of all of the same color family, it's kind of fun to see all the different colors you can get just by not rinsing your brush off when you're watercoloring. So you can do that. There, I'm going to rinse my brush off good for a little bit, and then I'm just going to tap it on the edge there. I'm going to go for a few more. Ooh, there's a really dark red. That's kind of cool. And I'm getting kind of like a red-orange because I mixed the orange with that red. I'm going to rinse against it a little bit. All right, whoops, I forgot, there's a couple right there. So now I have all of my kernels filled in, and then what I'm going to do is, normally the husks of the corn are sort of a brownish, yellowish color. But what I thought might be fun is if we think about doing the cool color family. And the cool color family has blues and greens and purples. So I'm gonna go grab those colors, and if you want to, go grab your cool colors, either markers or watercolor or crayons, and then we'll do the husks. All right guys, I found some nice cool colors, and then what you're going to do is you're going to color in your husks with the cool colors. And again, you can either use your markers. I'm going to use, and again, you want to kind of space out your colors. Use a little. Again, you could also, if you wanted to, you can take your brush and brush over your markers and kind of see what happens when you wet them. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of a watercolor effect, or like we talked about before, you can also use your real watercolors, and you just want to try to stay in the lines. And again, you could mix if you wanted to. You could mix your watercolors and your markers, because why not? So there's some watercolor. Get some purple in there. You can try overlapping some cool colors and seeing what happens. I'm gonna grab my marker again. And I'm gonna get my green. And maybe I'll finish up with a little bit of watercolor. All right, there we go. Now we're gonna let that dry, and then after that dries, we're going to cut it out, and I'll show you the final step. All right, first grade friends, my corn is now all dry. And so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your scissors and you're gonna cut it out. But what you wanna do is you wanna try to cut around all these little outside bumps of the corn so that it makes it look really realistic. So I'm just holding my scissors forward and I'm just kind of moving them in and out and around. And then I'm going to cut around my husk. And then I'm going to leave that top part of the husk, the white part around the husk, just for a minute. And then I'm going back around. Okay, so there I have that. And then what I need to do is cut in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down all the way down in there on that side. And then I'm going to come over on the other side. Cut all the way down in there so that then I can just kind of pull that away there. Same thing over here. I'm just going to cut down there. Cut like that. And then my last one. There we go. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're just going to get out this turquoise piece of paper that I gave you, and we're going to glue the corn down to it. But what you can do is we can leave, maybe if we don't put glue on the very tips of the husks, it'll make it look cool because it'll kind of stand out from the paper. So what we'll do is we'll turn this over. I'm going to outline around my corn. I'm going to just come up a little bit with the glue, not all the way. Give a swipe in the middle. And I'm going to position my corn. You can position it if you want it diagonal, straight, however you want it. I think Mrs. Herbay is going to do it a little bit off center. I'm going to pat that down, and then I still have my husks sticking up. And then the cool thing that you can do is you can take, so this is my background, and then what you can do is you can get some cool color crayons. So that would be, if you remember, your greens or your blues or your purples, and then we'll talk about how we can design a little border for our corn. All right, guys, now we're ready just to add the finishing touches to our corn. So what you can do is I have a bunch of different cool colored crayons here, and similar to when we did the border for our falling leaves, if you just want to, I'm going to draw a horizontal, I chose one of my crayons, I chose the blue. I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and then I'm going to try to draw a vertical line about the same distance. Then I'm going to draw another there, and then I'm going to draw one more. And then I've kind of created this little bit of a frame, and just like we did before, you can think about ways how you might want to decorate it. So I'm putting some vertical green lines. You can't see them super well. So I'm putting some vertical green lines, and I'm going around and around and around and around and around. All right, and then maybe I want to put circles in like every other square. Okay, so I did that, and maybe I want to put a wavy line on top of that guy. There we go. And yeah, so you can just, if you want to, you can keep adding more details if you would like to. And then when you're all finished, if you want to take a picture and upload it so I can see it, your wonderful creation, that would be great. All right, guys, I hope you have a fabulous week, and I will talk to you soon.